What if the only witness to your rescue was a predator? And if trusting him meant turning against your own town, would you do it? Rain stitched the air into a grey veil as Ethan Cole blinked salt and mud from his lashes. The rope bit into his wrists, bark grinding his skin where they'd lashed him to a Douglas fir. Ferns brushed his knees with cold, wet fronds. Cedar and diesel mixed in the air, the after scent of men who moved fast and didn't look back. Somewhere downhill, a chainsaw coughed once, then went silent like a secret catching itself. He tested the knot. It held. A strip of pink flagging fluttered on a branch, slapping softly. Tap, tap, tap. Like a ticking clock he couldn't stop. He'd walked this service road 100 times, writing citations, helping lost hikers, hauling out old tires. He knew the town that backed this forest, the cafe with elk heads on the walls, the logger who paid for Little League jerseys, the councilman who spoke loud about balance. Balance, he thought. What does balance mean when the scale is wired to a trigger? Brush shifted. A shape ghosted between salal leaves, body low and deliberate. Ethan's breath froze. The wolf stepped into the open. Massive shoulders, thick grey coat beaded with rain, amber eyes set steady. The forest shrank to those eyes. Not hunger, not panic, assessment. A twig snapped behind Ethan, heavy, deliberate. The black bear came in slow, nose-high, curious or opportunistic. "Hey," Ethan's voice cracked, useless. The wolf's ears cut forward. He didn't bolt. He squared himself. A low rolling growl poured from his chest, the kind that vibrates your ribs and your certainty. The bear swayed, stood awkwardly, then dropped and huffed, uncertain. The wolf stepped once, twice. Teeth flashed, not wild thrashing, but a firm line drawn on rain-soaked ground. The bear turned. Leaves slapped. Silence returned except for rain and Ethan's pulse. The wolf looked back at him, head cocked, listening to something beyond human hearing. If survival demands strange alliances, is it cowardice or courage to accept them? The wolf lifted his muzzle and released one short, clipped howl, then another, like coordinates. From far off through the green hush came an answer Ethan didn't expect, a faint siren rising. And with it, a metallic click near his ankles, the telltale hiss of a tripwire settling. When rescue finally shows up, who gets the credit? Procedure or instinct? And if a predator points the way, do you follow him or your rule book? Deputy Nora Reyes sliced the rope with a box cutter, while rain ticked off her hat brim. "You're lucky, Cole," she breathed, eyes darting to the ground. A thin steel line ran past his boots, staked to a sapling with a homemade trigger. One wrong shift and the snare would have cinched his legs. Ethan flexed numb fingers. Siren fading, radios crackling, cedar breath heavy in the air. Then the forest went still, expectant, like a jury waiting on a verdict. The grey wolf stood on the service road, tail low, ears forward, rain ripping his coat in silver. He stepped away, looked back, stepped again, looked back. Not a trick of chance, an insistence. "Don't," Nora warned. "It's wildlife." Ethan met the wolf's eyes and felt the same measured assessment as before. What's your line in the sand when a life might be on the other side? They followed at a careful distance, boots sucking in mud, blackberry canes snagging pant legs, damp moss glazed over fallen logs. The wolf threaded the ferns, paused, glanced over his shoulder. 50 yards in, he stopped beside a tangle of downed limbs. A cry knifed the rain, thin, metallic with panic. A wolf pup, legs cinched in barbed wire, looped to a fence post, fur slicked dark with blood. The big wolf circled once, low and tense, then held back as if conceding the work to the clumsy primates. Ethan slid on leather gloves. "Easy, easy, little guy." Copper hit his tongue. The pup's breath came shallow, hot against his wrist. He pinched the barbs flat with pliers, Nora bracing the wire. One twist, a snap, and the leg came free. The pup yelped, staggered, pressed into the big wolf's chest. Not gratitude, need. The adult nudged him toward cover, but didn't leave. That's when Ethan saw the rest. Fresh cable snares strung in a corridor, a trail of fish heads as bait, and a row of cedar stumps with chainsaw wounds too clean for storm blowdown. Orange survey tape fluttered, Kincaid Timber LLC marked in faded Sharpie. Ethan's stomach tightened. Wade Kincaid, logging magnate, donor, front runner for county sheriff. Is justice still justice if it costs your neighbors their paychecks? If it makes you an outsider in your own town? An engine growled uphill. Headlights hacked through Salal. An ATV nosed into the cut, fender sticker slick with rain, Kincaid for sheriff. The man himself killed the throttle, jaw set. "Cole," he called, voice carrying under the dripping canopy. "Step away from my fence." When power draws a line on a map, does it become truth or just ink that runs in the rain? Kincaid swung off the ATV like he owned the hillside. Aftershave and chain oil rode the damp air. "That's my fence, my calves, my liability," he said, chin toward the barbed wire. "You cut it, you pay it." His eyes flicked to the gray wolf and hardened. "And you keep that thing off my land." Deputy Nora planted her boots. "We've got illegal snares and fresh stumps on public ground," she said, voice even. "Your company's tape is on them." Ethan held up a length of cable, the fish head bait still slick. The wolf stood between fern fans, tail low, not backing. The pup quivered against his shoulder, breath quick, leg trembling. "How far do you bend the law for neighbors who sign your paychecks?" Kincaid smiled the way people do before they close a door. "Tape moves in wind, stumps fall. You two are trespassing." He nodded at the corridor of brush cut. "Or are you saying a wolf laid those traps?" A laugh from the tree line answered. A second ATV idled somewhere beyond Salal, the engine's pulse slow and sure, like a metronome for bad decisions. Ethan thumbed his radio. "Dispatch, this is Cole. I need Fish and Wildlife and DNR on Skyline Spur. Potential felony take and timber theft. Possible suspect on scene." Static hissed, then a thin copy. He felt the weight of the town behind that static. The cafe, the Little League jerseys, the whispers at church. Is silence loyalty, or complicity dressed in Sunday clothes? The wolf stepped forward, muzzle low, and pawed at a cedar stump. Wet wood flaked back to reveal a fresh, bright heart. No storm had done this. Beside it, a plastic milk crate half buried in blackberry. Inside, a coil of snares, a bag of fish heads, and orange flagging printed Kincaid Timber LLC. Nora's brow lifted. Kincaid's jaw didn't move, but his hands did. Open, then fists, then open again. A crack split the rain. Bark spit from the stump inches from the wolf's ear. The pup yelped. "Gun!" Nora pivoted, sidearm up, bracing on breath. Kincaid flung his palms wide. "Not me." The second ATV revved. A shadow shifting in sword ferns, dark, low, patient. Ethan's boots were already moving. "Stay back," Nora hissed. The wolf didn't. He turned toward the shot, shoulders rolling, and in that small measured movement, Ethan read a choice. Retreat or reveal. What would you risk? Your badge, your next paycheck, your welcome at the grocery store, to stop the next shot? The wolf surged past Ethan, a gray streak threading ferns toward the shooter. Ethan stepped after him, and without asking permission, crossed the posted line. The brush parted, and a third muzzle flash bloomed. If truth asks you to follow a path that ruins your comfort, do you take one more step? And when the guide isn't a preacher or a cop but a wild animal, whose voice do you trust? The third muzzle flash tore bark above Ethan's shoulder. He dropped behind a nurse log. Damp rot filled his mouth, gritty and sweet. "Contact east slope," Nora called, sighting into sword ferns. The gray wolf didn't cower. He slid forward like the rain itself, low and quiet, drawing the shooter's eye the way a decoy draws a bad cast. A boot slipped. Brush whipped. Then the engine of the second ATV snapped to full and fled downhill, rope tails lashing the mud. "Let him run," Ethan said, breath soaring. "We need proof." What matters more, catching a man tonight or catching the truth for good? The wolf trotted left, then right, nose cutting his shapes through the wet. He paused at a culvert choked with alder leaves, pawed twice, looked back. Ethan's gloved fingers dug into the mat and found steel, an ammo can taped tight. Inside, coils of snares, a roll of orange flagging stamped Kincaid Timber LLC, 3 trail cam SD cards, and a spiral notebook in grease pencil. Dates, poundage, cash splits, initials that were more than rumor. Next to it, a long thin bag held a suppressor slick with oil. Nora's body cam blinked red. "This is felony take, timber theft, unlawful trapping," she said, voice low but steady. "On paper." She snapped photos. The stump faces bright as butter, the fish head bait in milk crates, the corridor cut like a pipeline. The wolf stood by the pup, nose nudging the little leg, then lifted his head, ears pivoting to a sound Ethan couldn't hear. Kincaid's ATV reappeared, headlight a white blade. He stopped just inside his posted line, Helmet off, rain beading on a face built for confidence rallies. "Are you planting evidence now, Cole?" he asked. "You think this town will choose you over paychecks? When the cost of integrity is paid in neighbors and Sunday nods, do you still write your name on the receipt?" Engines multiplied. 2, then 3, a chorus climbing the spur road. Red and blue flickers ghosted the trunks. Nora keyed her mic. Before she spoke, the wolf moved, stepping between Ethan and the swelling glare. Shoulders squared, eyes steady, just as a new voice rolled out of the dark. "Everybody, hands where I can see 'em." And the badge in that beam didn't belong to Kincaid. When a badge finally says enough, do towns heal or harden? And if the truth costs you the comfort of belonging, what part of you are you willing to lose? The beam belonged to WDFW Sergeant Alana Pike. Rain starred her vest. Her voice left no room. "Hands now!" Kincaid froze, jaw a locked hinge. Deputies spilled from trucks. A DNR ranger slid evidence bags across wet duff. Nora pointed them to the culvert. Pike knelt, flicked her light. Ammo can, snares, trail cam cards, suppressor, each tagged, each logged. "We'll get a warrant for your shop and office," she told Kincaid. "Tonight you're detained for obstruction." He tried the old lines, property, jobs, outsiders, but the notebook in grease pencil made its own introduction. How many times do we rehearse a lie before it feels like a creed? A wildlife biologist hustled in, iodine biting the air as she checked the pup's leg. Shallow laceration, no tendon. "We clean, we release. Keeping the pair together is the best medicine." The grey wolf stood steady through the hiss and sting, golden eyes flicking to Ethan, then back to the pup. No theatrics, just presence, the kind we beg from our leaders and forget to practice. Pike rose. "Cole, you good to write this clean?" He felt the town behind his answer. The cafe, the pews, the little league fence funded by Kincaid Timber. "Yeah," he said. "Clean? What is integrity if not a promise you keep when no one claps?" The pup wobbled upright. The big wolf pressed a shoulder against him, guiding. Sirens thinned, radios dimmed, and then the thing that hushed even the engines. The wolf lifted his muzzle and gave 3 clipped howls, the same measured cadence that had called help to a man tied to a tree. Not a show, coordinates. An answer floated back from far timber, soft and sure. The pack was waiting. Kincaid stared, rain tracing his temple. "You going to thank it?" He sneered. Ethan didn't bother with him. He stepped 1 pace toward the tree line and spoke low, to the animal who had redrawn his map. "I heard you." The wolf's eyes held his a beat. Then he turned, shouldered the pup into the green, and was gone, leaving muddy boots, plastic tape, and a town with a choice. In your county, on your street, in your life. When the wild asks you to be better, do you listen? If this story moved you, drop a comment. Which choice matters more, protecting comfort or protecting what's right? Would you have followed the grey wolf off the posted line? Like and subscribe for more true-to-life stories that test our values.